Hello and welcome. For some of you that are used to the Nerf content I've been trying to do for the past couple of months, this is probably a little bit of a change in pace. But, if it's something that I decided that I wanted to talk about with this, more or less. And if this seems a little bit weird in pacing or whatever, it's because I am attempting to do this entire thing in one shot. So if there's, goofy pauses or just weird things because I'm not editing this, so I can only say things once and I can't redo it over again. But sort of an old school callback, more or less, because that's how I first did videos on a now very gone channel from 7 years ago. I already know that I triggered the meme there, but oh well. So, but yeah, more or less speculation on future plans, which I'm not going to be super specific about, both for copyright reasons and also just for the sake of, if they don't get realized, I don't want to show off all these really cool things if they never happen. But more or less because I am considering a pretty massive change to my life that I think is personally worthwhile. And for those of you that are just familiar with me, on this channel, this isn't going to make a whole lot of sense, but I go to college. I know, right? Crazy thing. Nobody ever does that anymore, right? But specifically in college, I do music education. As some of you that view this, or professors that have viewed this, well know, obviously, that's my major right now. However, I am considering changing that because, it's a couple of different reasons, actually. It's not just one reason to rule them all, really. But more or less, I just don't feel the same way about music anymore. And at least in the sense of doing only music, full time, I don't feel the same about it. And on top of that, a different thing, which I'll mention in a second, has become much more appealing, or at least has turned from this faraway dream in La La Land, 16 billion miles away, to something that I can actually grasp, and something that is actually somewhat within the realm of possibility, kind of. And more or less, business. Yeah, everyone's favorite topic. But for a while, and for a very long time, then I wanted to do something like that because I felt obligated to, more or less. And I felt that if I didn't do that there was nothing else really. There had to be something like that. And that stems from just, for at least a while, more or less being a stereotype, a walking stereotype of the gifted child, quote unquote. And at least everybody telling you to do stuff like that. But now, this specific venture I actually want to do because I actually want to do it. It's not something where I feel like I have to do it. I don't feel like I'm obligated to anybody to do it. I want to do it. And that's also important because with music, and specifically music ed, again, I'm starting to just feel more obligated than anything. I don't feel like I want to do that. And originally I wouldn't have ever gotten into music in the first place. But, for at least a couple years, a while ago now, there was a relatively tumultuous period in my life where a lot of things just weren't stable. but music was, and band was. So I did that because stable thing with nothing else being stable. So trauma response, maybe. Don't know, don't really care. But yeah, that's more or less how I got into music and actually stayed in it. But nowadays, I just don't feel it. And I don't feel it in the same way. And it's a very predictable thing. It's a very safe thing, which is really good in its own. I could do that and I could really dig into that deep and get that guaranteed job as a band director somewhere for really crappy pay and then complain about being poor for the rest of my life. But I don't really want to, I don't want to just be complaining about it when I could have done something to not be in that position earlier, like right now. And, a lot of people have told me, you should flip them and you should do a band director first, or like music ed, and do that later. But I would argue the opposite. And here's why. Mainly because right now, there's nobody depending on me. More or less, I'm the dependent, not the dependent on, at least for financial things. I don't have a girlfriend, fiance, wife, all three at once, or kids, secret families. Don't have any of that. So if I try to go on a business entrepreneurship venture now and it fails, I'm not putting anybody else into financial jeopardy. I'm just putting myself into that position. But down the road, if I become a band director and get into a good position, then if I want to really dig into a business venture, then I'm putting potentially a wife and kids at risk. And I have a strong feeling that if I go down the path of band director, that I'll never actually try to do a business venture. And I want to at least try to. I don't want to just leave it behind as that one giant regret that I had and live a regretful life. I want to take the incentive. And I mean, you've seen what I posted on this channel recently, and the company idea pertains to Nerf-like things, more or less. Aside from that, again, I'm not going to go into any details just in case nothing ever works out or it doesn't ever go anywhere. For a very long time, I didn't really take it seriously. It was just one of those like, oh, it'd be cool if that happened, way down the road. But that would never happen anytime soon. I would never find a big enough crack in the market or a niche or just a gaping hole. But I have. And again, totally not going to say what, but I have to an extent. And I found new questions and new answers to old problems I've been trying to figure out for years. And it's very relieving to me. And on top of that, I don't know. I don't know about this. It could be the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. And in my opinion, in its own way, that's beautiful. It's not incredibly predictable like band. Something where I don't know what's going to happen for once. I can't really predict what's going to happen. I can take a look at virtually everything else and see what these rich guys did that got them to their position, pretending they, as far as ones that were actually self-made and not, like born into it. Obviously, I'm not born into it. Not the worst position, but certainly not like way up top or anything. Although I'm really happy with it compared to where it could be. But yeah, more or less, I think that, and even if I switched majors completely and in college ditched music, there are parts of it that I still enjoy. Great example is the Skokie Community Band. I really enjoy that. And so long as my fingers can move well enough and my lips can flap hard enough to put my air through a baritone euphonium horn, I fully intend on participating in the Muskogee Community Band for as long as I physically can. Or less, because again, I actually enjoy it. NSU, which is the college that I go to, if you couldn't get the hint from the fact that it's the Muskogee Community Band, like in Oklahoma, I just don't. And it's really unfortunate with that, just because of how incredibly disappointing that whole experience has been so far. And it's actually probably the only music program that I would say is worse than the high school I went to, which, good for that high school, not good for NSU. Yeah, totally not what I was expecting at all. Like, numbers are one thing, but when you go there and it's just so incredibly toxic and demeaning and just not trying to get anybody to stay in it at all, then, it's no wonder that they have more or less pathetically small music program. I don't even want to stay in it. Music was my passion for years. It's also part of why this entire plan to switch gears completely is still tentative, because I've spent years building up, this reputation for skilled musicianship and just getting really good at music. So to then sort of ditch that more or less for a new venture, it's kind of nerve-wracking. And because the new venture may never happen, and this entire video might be a moot point. But just in case it isn't, then this is up now. What else to talk about? I'm sure some of you have, gone like deep into a train of thought, and then you lose like the second half of what you were going to say partway through. Welcome to the club of not being able to pay attention or remember things. But yeah, music was great for a while, but just not anymore, And that's not to say there aren't gems among it. It's not to say that I hate it or anything. But I just feel way less that music is for me. I feel way less that right now in my position, that I am best suited for music at all. On top of everything else I've said, a lot of the reason that I wanted to become a band director was spite, more or less. And, spite's a powerful motivator, which I would know because it's pretty much the only reason that I made all-state band in high school twice. A guy beat me in the district contest, and then I beat the absolute crap out of him at the state contest. If I had gotten first here, I would have never made it to all-state. So, thanks for that. But, yeah, finding something that's, not based off of years of other experience, it actually isn't based on spite. Finding something that, again, is based on entirely, more or less, because I want to do it. But I think I'm getting ahead or behind myself. Starting to repeat some points and getting some knocks from ghosts on this door. If you're wondering why I'm in a coat, it's very cold out. It's probably like 10 degrees outside and maybe like 30 in here. But my Scandinavian genetics tend to hold up well to the cold, so I'm a fan. But yeah. On top of everything else, then, some of the more recent traumatic events in my life are directly tied to music, and specifically where going to specific places can remind me of certain things. And a great example of it is last year now, in January, for my senior year of all-state band. Then the day that I found out that, or the day that I was going to perform with the all-state band for the convention, and whatnot was the day that I found out that my mom would pass away, more or less. So not exactly the best day in the world. It was about an hour before I performed. Luckily, the intercollegiate band thing this year wasn't at the same place, so I didn't bawl my eyes out, because that'd be embarrassing. But yeah, it's turned from the escape from traumatic events to the traumatic events themselves, more or less. And on top of that, there's just a lot of jackwagons, a lot of douchebags, you know? And in business, there is too. You know, I mean, virtually every billionaire is. But you expect it. Everybody knows it. Everybody and their dog knows it. Even a toddler knows it. Even a 1-year-old, even a Stewie knows it at this point. Everybody knows it. But when you don't know it in something else, then it hits a lot harder. But just to keep myself from repeating too hard and this just being way too stupidly, absurdly long for anybody to even bother clicking on it, I'm going to end this video here. It's quite late at night, but it's nice to rant to a camera and have people maybe listen to it. I don't know. But yeah, maybe I'll really get into a new period of my life. And even now, with how tentative it is, I already feel excited for it, which I haven't felt in a long time. But yeah, it's exciting. It really is. And I hope that one day I'll be able to share that excitement with all of you.